Native Creations, where you can get great, authentic Native American jewelry. And remember, Christmas, just about 3 months away from now. It's a matter of 3 months from tomorrow. So don't have a whole lot of time to look for that unique gift, because I'm sure you're tired of going to the Megalo Mart and, I bought this last year, I bought that the year before. I sure don't want to give that again. So think about it. Wishing Stars Native Creations. Now, I had a weird dream last night, and I don't think I really talk much about my dreams here on the program, but this one was just really bizarre, and I wanted to tell you about it because I want to know what it says about my psyche. I've been trying to figure it out for the last couple of hours. Anyway, I had a dream that I was an undercover reporter, and I was sent to Washington, D.C. to spy on the new First Lady. I have no idea who the president is or who the First Lady is in this. She looked a lot like Jill Biden, just to give you an idea. Well, anyway, the new First Lady is obsessed with this swimming pool, and it's decorated with an American flag wrapped around it or inside it. I don't remember exactly how that fit in. But anyway, she was obsessed with this flag, and she was trying to get this pool for some reason. And anyway, I was in some rodeo arena or something like that in a rural area near Washington, D.C., for all I can remember. And I was spying on the First Lady, and she couldn't see me, and somehow the Secret Service couldn't see me either, which is really surprising considering they check out everything in the area. And I was hiding in plain sight. Well, anyway, I was spying on the First Lady. She comes into this arena. She grabs this pool. It's a pretty good sized pool, probably about 10, 15 feet in diameter, something like that. But somehow she was able to carry this thing off. And I rushed to her car because I'm thinking, well, she's going to get into her car. So I rushed to her car. She puts this thing in the car somehow. It's like some little old Corvette or something, or old Aston Martin, a little dinky thing. Certainly couldn't hold a pool of this size. Well, she puts it in this car. We're going down the road. There's another woman in the car, and she's driving. The First Lady is driving this car all over the place, weaving in and out of traffic, and people are going off the road, crashing into things. Somehow we manage to just keep on going. We may hit something, but it doesn't do any damage to the car. It certainly doesn't slow us down. And as we're cruising down the road, then all of a sudden my phone rings, and I wake up, and I'm going, what was that all about? And I'm like, brrr. So that's what's been in the back of my mind, in addition to my soundboard screw up all morning. So that's what's going on there. All right. Well, let's come to the meat and potatoes portion of the program. Pardon me while I take a quick drink of coffee. I know that was really sexy, me drinking in your ear. But let's see what's in the news today I want to talk about. This is something that's been bugging me for a couple of days now. In that, in Missouri, our Lieutenant Governor, Peter Kinder, and for those of you that don't know, he is a Republican. He is urging Missourians against going to the exchanges, the new health care exchanges that go into effect on October 1st. Well, it seems that he's telling thousands of Missourians looking for health insurance, don't get it through an online marketplace that launches next week. And he's discouraging participation in the health insurance exchanges that are the centerpiece of the 2010 Affordable Care Act that was signed by President Obama. Now, across the country, millions of dollars are being spent to spread the word about the October 1st startup of the enrollment period for the state-specific websites by which people can shop for health insurance policies. Here in Missouri, the website is run by the federal government, but specific details about the price in terms of the policy options still have not been released. And you can thank your Republican friends for that. And the Lieutenant Governor rather said, I would hope there would be active resistance to this law, that people would not sign up. Trust me, Lieutenant Governor, there's a lot of resistance in the state. I'm not among it, but you're advocating people to not comply with the federal law. All right. I'll be sure to remember that when you run for your next office, which will probably be for governor in, 20 Was it 2016 or 2014? I can't remember when the governorship is up again. It'll come back to me. Well, that's the opposite of the message being spread by organizations such as the Missouri Foundation for Health, which is part of the Cover Missouri Coalition. At the very minimum, the health insurance website is worth a click on a computer. That's according to Ryan Barker, Vice President of Health Policy at the Foundation. Even if you go agree with what the Lieutenant Governor's saying, check out the health exchanges anyway. Know what you're turning down, okay? Don't just say, well, I'm not going to go to that. Well, if you're going to turn it down without looking at it, then don't tell me to do the same thing, okay? I'm checking it out right now. Well, not this very moment, but I am going to check it out. But don't tell others to not check it out. They can check it out, but they don't have to comply. I mean, that's up to you if you want to break the law. That's one of the things I don't get. Now, I'm not advocating people break the law, but if you don't want to comply with something, then don't comply with it. Okay? Worry about the consequences if you decide not to comply with a law or a rule. But throwing this bitch fit to the masses saying, well, it's going to break the system. Well, you don't know that. For all we know, this could be the best thing since Social Security. Now, I'm not saying Social Security has worked out to everyone's benefit. There's some problems with that, too. But I would rather have this system in place than not. Well, Missouri has roughly 800,000 people without health insurance right now. 800,000 people. Now, I don't remember what Missouri's population is, but I know that's a pretty good chunk of people here in our state. About half of those could be eligible for subsidized coverage through the health insurance exchange. So 400,000 could automatically get health insurance if they would just enroll for subsidized coverage, getting paid by the government, get health insurance. So it'll be easy sneezy to get coverage. It may not be the best coverage in the world, but it sure is better than nothing. Well, Missouri voters last year approved a measure placed on the ballot by the Republican-led legislature that bars the governor and his administration from taking steps to establish a state-run health insurance exchange. The measure also prohibits state agencies or employees from providing assistance or resources of any kind to the federal government to implement its own insurance exchange in the Show Me State unless such actions are authorized by a state law or required by federal law. Well, guess what? Even if you said no, the feds are going to do this anyway. Okay? Now, before I continue on with this story, here's something I want you to think about. And this was some advice column I read the other day, and I don't remember who it was for sure. But the essence of it was the guy was behind on a health care bill. Now, the initial bill was $400. For whatever reason, he did not pay it on time. Went to collection agencies, a couple of them. It was up over $1,000. Well, he didn't have the thousands of dollars needed to pay off the full bill, but he did have $400, to cover the initial bill. And he asked this economist what he should do, and he said, well, he should try to get in touch with the original agency and ask for a one-time payment. So if he can make a one-time payment of $400 to clear this account. What I'm getting at, even if you have mediocre insurance or really good insurance, health insurance, it's no guarantee. Well, this is another statement that he said along with it. Even if you have really good health insurance, a health insurance plan, it's no guarantee that it's going to protect your assets in the event that you get overwhelmed with high medical bills. Okay? Now, I have a pretty good policy for a single man. Okay? And I admit I got behind paying some of my medical bills a couple of years ago when I was in the hospital. And one of those bills went to a collection agency. Now, I got it paid off last year. And I admit it was a painful couple of months there, but I got it paid off. So, and I know it's not always possible for people to keep up. And that's why I can't understand why there's so much resistance to this. I think a lot of people are under this impression that they will never get that sick. Well, I tell you, even the healthiest people in the world, or seemingly healthiest people in the world, can be afflicted with anything at a time. And one of the reasons why I'm such a strong advocate of a universal health care system in this country is because when my dad had lung cancer the very first time, I was 8 years old when he was diagnosed. And he was declared in remission, I believe, about the time I was in about 7th or 8th grade. Now, his health declined a lot of those years. His stamina wasn't as strong. His immune system was weakened. But he pushed on for another 16 years, roughly, dying in 2001. But during his initial sickness, at times when he should have been resting and trying to get his strength back, he was undergoing full cancer treatments, namely chemotherapy. He resisted radiation treatments back then because he knew that the chances of that working were not as good. That would probably spread the cancer. He eventually got radiation treatments in 2001, but it didn't help much. But back in the early 80s, when he should have been resting, he was pushing himself to go to work. And a lot of times, he was not even well enough to drive a car. This man drove over 30 miles one way. And Columbia, Missouri traffic is not the nicest traffic to be driving through, especially during rush hour, which is a lot of times he would be getting to work just about the time that MU would be letting out classes in the afternoon, along with the public schools there, plus Columbia College, Stevens College, just to name a few. My mom was working excessively long hours at a local grocery store. I was a babysitter. So I missed out on a lot of growing up opportunities with my parents. And a lot of times when my dad was at home, he wasn't able to play the games with me that a lot of the other boys got to enjoy. I mean, my dad tried, but a game of catch could wear him out in 20 minutes, even though he pushed himself. So that's why this is so personal to me. So every time someone says, we don't need it, it'll break our system, what about to the families of young boys and girls out there now who are going through what I went through 30 years ago? And that's one of the reasons why I'm overly attached to my parents, even to this day. Because I missed out on some of those opportunities. But it also gave me insights into other aspects of life. So when you say we don't need this, well, we need something here. And I commend the president for doing this, for passing this unpopular law. You know, if it's so unpopular now, why did it pass then? Obviously, there were some members of Congress. Now, I know Congress has changed since the law was enacted. But it really ticks me off, though, that the Republicans are doing everything they can to derail this. Because chances are, even if they can't defund it, they're going to delay funding of this program somehow. They're going to come back with something. So when you say we don't need this, think about my life. I missed out on some opportunities. I admit I chose this path to a certain extent, but back then I didn't have a choice. I got screwed out of a childhood because of some disease that my dad was afflicted with. Now, I'm not saying he was a saint by any means. You know, cigarette smoking certainly didn't help. But the federal government testing Agent Orange in the areas that he was at in the Army, he was afflicted with that. So he was around those test sites, secret test sites, back in the early 60s before they sent it off to Vietnam. So think about that as I continue on with my healthcare stories. And that's why this is so personal to me. Because I want to give other families a chance that was denied of me. I regret that I've denied my own future in having offspring. But I have other reasons why I haven't. Partly because I have a psychological predisposition to choosing partners who are emotionally distant. But that's another story. Okay? One of the advantages of working the long hours that I work, I have a lot of time to think. Well, Lieutenant Governor Peter Kinder has consistently fought the federal health care law even at one point filing a lawsuit challenging its implementation. He said people should refuse to sign up for coverage by the health insurance exchange as a way of registering their disapproval of it.